how did your singing career begin to expand while all of
Well,
this was
I was working at RCA, and what was her name? Fanny. Shake a hand. Who you remember the girl that did that?
Oh,
Shake
yeah, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Faye Adams.
Yeah.
Well, she was a gospel singer also, and we used to be at the studio with her. Go down to the radio studio, and RCA. We had been to the Drinker Sing and had gone to the jazz festival with Mahalia, and we sang there. So we made the album with on RCA.
And that was unusual, wasn't it, for
Yeah,
gospel?
very much unusual.
Yeah. How did that?
We was the first ones to do it.
Yeah, and how did that happen? That you
Well,
you got
Joe
involved?
Bostic was our manager as well as a promoter who was dealing with Mahalia and Clara Ward and all those people. So, and we were invited to go there, and of course we were very excited about that, the jazz festival, and another back home choir. It was a choir that was called Back Home Choir, which was a community choir also, and we all went there and to see all those people out there. Half of them was stoned, I think, but but it was mostly white, you know. And I guess I don't know whether there was a lot of black. I didn't see a lot of black people, but it was mostly white. But we started singing, and they were jumping up and down and all that kind of. So that was really unusual for us, you know, to feel like we could reach somebody. They were hearing what we were saying. Like I say, I don't know whether I think a lot of them did understand what we were doing, but I'm sure a lot of them were stoned.
Yeah,
because that was the flower of children's days.
Yes. What was it like to sing with Mahalia?
It was good. Mahalia was a big person. I was very proud of Mahalia in the first place, because when you saw her on the television, she really represented us in a magnificent way. And that was my whole thing with her. You know, I loved her. And but it was great. It was just great, you know. We had been with all of the Davis sisters, all the biggies. We had sung with all of them. And but we just did not do it as a living. We had to go to work on Monday, you know. They had to do it. You know, they went from one place to another, to city to city. Now, we couldn't see ourselves doing that because my sisters and them had children. I had a child by that time.
And trying to make it as a professional.
Yeah, it takes a great deal.
In terms of gospel singing in that day and age.
Yeah.
Was virtually unheard of.
Absolutely.
So you continued on with your job, but at a certain point, you said...
Yeah, I did not interrupt you.
Yeah,
but, okay. Faye Adams asked me, she called. RCA turned up a lot of things for us. You know, they called and asked me if I would do the background for Faye Adams. And my husband was trying to manage things at that time, you know. And so I said, well, okay. You know, I went to rehearsal, and unfortunately, or fortunately enough, I didn't go to the session because I had to work, you know. And you're kind of frightened when you get out there and don't know what's going to happen. You know, nothing's sure. So you have to really be cognizant of what you're doing and there was bills to pay, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to say, well, I'm going to take off this time because that might not come through. And if you're in the union, it takes 30 days or more before you get paid. So, hey, and like money, you know. And so that's how I started. I didn't, and then after that, for a long time, I didn't do any more sessions. Then I had my second baby, my second baby, yeah. And
is that Michael?
Michael. And my husband was managing. Well, if I started, this whole story is just very, you know.
Yeah. Just take it, you know.
We were at the Apollo with Alex Bradford and the Drinker Singers and many others, you know. He was doing the play. and we were in it. We were singing. We had parts in it, and we were singing. And a guy, I forget his name now, but we knew him very well, came in and said, you know, they needed some voices to do some background down there. So my husband, he said, Jackie Verdell, who was David singing, she said, well, the kids can go, right? I said, yeah, we can say that, yeah, they can go. And Dion, her sister Dee Dee, and another Sylvia, and another girl who would call the gospel airs at that time. They were my nieces and nephews. And one was Judy's sister, and another one was just a girl who went to our church who was in my choir. And they went, and they did the background, and they loved them, you know, because they could really sing. And then the time went on and on. They kept going back, and they started. She met her back rack, and the story goes on. You know, she did demo and blah blah blah. She used to work with the Shirelles and all that kind of business. And my husband was managing them at that time, so we had
the gospel airs, or
yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And one night they called her at Columbia, and they needed the background singers, the girls. My baby was 3 weeks old, and Dion couldn't make it. She had another date at that time, so he said, well, what am I going to do? I said, I don't know. But then we came to a point. He said, well, could you? I said, I guess so. I guess I could do it, you know. He wrapped me up real good, you know. But we went to, it was cold, and went to the session. And I thought it was going to be like 3 hours, because usually a session is 3 hours long. We got back home like 6 o'clock in the morning. I had a babysitter there, you know, stayed.
Oh,
but
wow.
we worked all that time. And after that, they wanted me to come, you know, to do the session. So that's how I started doing sessions.
Uh-huh.